Welcome to another edition of Great Health, Abundant Happiness, and Outrageous Love. Mwah. We did a video yesterday about, why do you need more? It was basically around, when you're missing things inside, people buy a bunch of shit that they don't need just to kind of fill that hole. Watch the video if you want to dig into that. But one of our friends watched the video and said, hey, great video, and thank you for that. But, also other people do things to just numb the pain, to, numb that feeling of loss or emptiness. And drugs and alcohol are the obvious things. They might use that. And, I've got my wine right here. We're not saying that you don't drink alcohol because
Right.
we love our wine.
We do.
We're talking about people that do it in excess to cover something up. But that's kind of the obvious thing when you talk about numbing the pain. But there are a lot of things that aren't so obvious. Like some people may become workaholics, like they pour all of their time into the job. And again, we're not saying don't work, because obviously if you love your job and you love your work, you got to work, but
Right.
you want to have a healthy balance, right?
You have to have the balance, and that's the key. All of these things, and we're going to go through several of them, that people use to numb that pain are things that are in excess, right? Because like Jeffrey said, having a glass or two of wine
It's not what we're talking about.
is
right?
not what we're talking about. We're talking about doing things to excess. So a workaholic, somebody that is working all the time and pouring everything that he or she has into their career solely at the expense of everything else. They're using that to numb the pain of whatever it is that they're lacking from within. And that's really, we've seen it in many people, that we know. We've seen people drink too much. We've seen people fall into the drug trap. We've seen people who become workaholics so that they don't have to deal with the issues. We've seen people become, exerciseaholics.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We had a friend that she would be on the road biking or running, it's like all day long.
Right.
And so again, you have to keep physically fit, and we like to do some exercise every day. It might be just walking. We walked like 3 or 4 miles today here around Copper just to get our exercise in. But we're talking about people that want to go out and burn the whole day on the road. Now, if you're training for triathlons and you're going to be in the Olympics,
Yeah.
that's totally different. Again, there's extremes.
Well, and that's done for a purpose of training. We're talking about when people are using things to numb and avoid issues.
And I think that's the
big
key to
difference.
avoid. So
Right.
yeah, so it's, again, you can go work your 8 to 10 hours a day, whether it's healthy 12 hours if you're in the middle of a bunch of projects and you're excited about your business. But we're not talking about, on your laptop 24/7, before you go into bed. And if you're married, you're not spending time with your wife, you're on the laptop, or your husband. Or if you're single, you should be out with friends or doing other things other than working. Working out is the same kind of thing. Some of the other things we talked about was eating.
Right.
I mean, some people become like eataholics, if that's the word.
Yeah, I mean, foodaholics, there are plenty of people. I mean, our obesity level in this country speaks for itself. But so many people, and especially young kids, are using food to fill voids, right? They're using it to numb the pain of maybe not feeling accepted or wanted or worthy. And that is such a travesty, that is happening. And we're sharing these things because if you identify with any of them within yourself or with someone you're close to, I mean, really make a point to either acknowledge it within yourself, or again, if it's someone you're close to, make a point to talk to them, or maybe it's one of your friend's children. It's really important. It takes a village, and no person should slip through the cracks because they're feeling unworthy. We're all so worthy, and we can always help each other feel, worthy. You have to do the work yourself, but we can help each other by being there and supporting each other.
Sure,
right?
sure.
Yeah, and there are, gosh, we could go into so many things.
Well, last one we want to touch on, and then we can wrap. But is Karen mentioned gambling. I mean, people become addicted to gambling, or even I said, gamers. I mean, there's a lot of people that get sucked into these games online, and like I used to love video games when I was a kid. I still would love to play a game here or there, but again, it's like you can't suck up 5 hours a day, 8 hours a day. And I see people that I know in business, and they say, look, I'm going to give up this time I spent gaming and put it into developing my business. So it's all of these things are okay when you just touch on it. You do in moderation, right?
I mean, television. I mean, there are people who will get up, turn the television set on.
Binge watching, that's the word I was looking for earlier, right?
And we're not talking about binge watching with a friend or a partner, binge watching a show for fun. We're talking about people who watch television 24/7, and there are people out there that do that. And basically their entire life is consumed, with that television set. And the reason is that is filling the void they're missing within their own life. So they're numbing the pain by really trying to live vicariously in the lives of, TV characters, right?
Or whatever. Right? Just watch it. Sometimes it's burning time. I would say that a lot of times you're mindfully going through this, whether it be working out or working and you're just doing email or whatever. You might not even know you're burning all this time watching TV.
But I do think a lot of people know that they're avoiding something, right? When they're overdoing it.
I'm not so sure.
Maybe.
It'll be interesting maybe interesting to figure this out. But the people that I watch that are workaholics or they're into gaming or they just get caught up into the emotion. They'd rather spend time there than on whatever, whether it's your family, your relationships, your own mental health, whatever it is. This is making up for some kind of lack. So the whole thing in our video yesterday was all around, starts with self-love, but to be whole within yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, you should be able to be sitting outside and be good with, being with yourself and watching what's around you. Maybe it's just watching the birds, watching the leaves fall off the tree. Just be content and whole within yourself and have that self-confidence, I'm going to say, to be able to be good just with yourself. And you don't have to fill that gap with buying a bunch of crap or doing any of these things that we're talking about to excess.
Absolutely. Right? Totally agree. We were talking today too about, I'm probably going back 20 years when you were a young executive. And
I'm still a young executive.
Yes, of course you are. But a young executive working for, the man. Now you're a young executive working for yourself. So back in the day, and, we were just talking about this today, how we had that self-confidence within, and you knew that you were doing, the best that you could in your work. So you were pretty excited about any opportunity to shine within a company and, meet people that were above you, especially at a C-level, right? So we were talking about this as well. If you're not feeling that completeness within yourself, you may avoid those kind of situations, and you're happy not being recognized. And there's a very fine line here between, people that are shy and people that lack the self-worth. Right, and I think that's really important.
Well, I mean, that's probably a video for another day. But you're talking about some people are just fine doing whatever they do in a job. So if they're good with,
but I'm saying I'm not sure that they are really fine doing that. I'm saying that I think that they're using, they're hiding behind that. Again, they're not utilizing all of their talents because they're lacking the self-worth. So they're actually using, that position to numb their pain as well. The point of this is there's so many ways that we as humans can integrate this,
So I guess you're saying it's a hiding. they're hiding to numb the pain.
Right. Some people don't want to go out.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, but I'm just saying there's some people that are whole within, and they might be okay at a certain level in a corporation.
Absolutely,
That's all I do.
of
They
course,
might not care to go up. That's a kind of a different story.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
a good clarification because not everybody in this situation. I'm just saying there are so many different ways in which we as humans can avoid, dealing with our own self-love issues and the feelings within, right?
Right. So we're talking about something much deeper. If you're missing a bunch inside, you're doing things to compensate for it. I'm looking at that light over there instead of the camera. We've got this whole setup here. It's throwing me off.
Jeffrey's got this whole studio set up, and
it's not really that elaborate. We're not very not very technical. We don't edit.
He's been very specific to me. Make sure you look at the camera and not the light.
Right.
And so he just realized that he's said it enough times, but yet he's still. It draws you in there.
No, it is. It's like a moth to the flame. Anyway, so I'm not avoiding you, but I'm looking over there because I'm looking into the moon. But anyway, so I think you guys get it. Love to hear from you down below. Are there other things that you can come up with that people do to kind of avoid, we'll call it the pain. The pain is something missing internal. Doesn't have to be really that serious, but at the end of the day, you're doing something to cover this up. There's an issue there, so you're buying stuff you don't need.
Right.
You're drinking too much. You're spending too much time watching TV. Whatever the heck it is.
Right.
First focus on self-love, and then focus on being good with yourself and being alone and all that good stuff. Now, we love to spend time together.
We do.
But I'm also learning that, I'm okay if I have to be sitting somewhere waiting for someone or waiting to get on a call. I don't have to be doing something every second. I'm good with being with myself and being in the now. I think that's part of it.
Content.
Right.
It's so important to be content. And again, this all drills back down to self-love, which we talk about it. I mean, every single one of our videos really boils down to that self-love and that self-worth, right? And, that is core. So if you feel like you're doing these things because you don't have love in your life, understand it's not that you don't have someone in your life to love. It's that you are not fulfilled with your own self-love, because once you have that, all of those other things come into play and they fill. So, it's really important also to look exactly at what it is that you're trying to numb the pain from. Maybe your parents got divorced, and so you've got this fear of relationships, and so you are doing things to numb that pain. And that's, Jeffrey's parents were divorced, and interestingly enough, you were very much the opposite of that. But I've got another friend, and his parents got divorced when he was 30, and he is so fearful of commitments. It's really interesting, and he just is very afraid to make that step. And that is something that it has nothing to do with his parents' divorce when you really look at it. It's your own feelings about how you love yourself inside, right? And every single one of these things that we try to numb the pain on stem back to our own self-value, our own self-worth, our own self-love, right?
Right, we're talking about filling a gap, right?
Filling the gap,
right.
filling the void.
Okay.
Wishing you great health, abundant happiness, and outrageous love from the nest at Copper Mountain.
Thanks, guys.